Welcome to another eddycurrent.com action video with notes from the field. Recently, I've had a couple of different people ask me about data slewing and how you do that in the analysis software. First of all, you may be asking, gee, Ed, what is data slewing? Well, typically with a bobbin coil for tubing, your differential and absolute coils, the sources of your signals, are only separated by a small amount, say 30 thousandths. Actually, one half of that pair of coils is used for the external comparison differential, which gives you signals that look like absolute signals. And then when they're working together, you get the differential signals like you see on your screen. So there's really not a lot of need to slew that data, because when you click between, actually I already slewed this a little bit. All right, let me go back in there and turn that off. Hold on a second. Set up. I was practicing before I made this video. Reset coil offsets. There we go. So now, as you can see, that's a differential signal. That's one of the holes in your cal standard. But if you click over to the absolute signal, which is channel 2, 4, 6, and 8, that's your external comparison differential, notice how the differential and the absolute signals are occurring at the exact same place in time. Now imagine if this was rotating coil data. If you had a single coil on your probe head, you don't have to slew any data. You don't have to align the data in time because you only have one coil to look at. When you flip through all the channels, every channel is going to be the same in terms of time in your expanded strip charts here. So when would you want to slew data? Well, there's a couple of different times. They make probes with bobbin coils that may have, what do they call it? The cross-axis coils. A lot of used in the AC business. Mike Ferguson could tell you all about cross-axis coils. But see, they're offset by about 2 inches in the probe head itself. So let's just say that this was your differential coil in a cross-axis probe. When you click over to the cross-axis coil channel, that data would be up here somewhere. It wouldn't be in your expanded strip charts. To see what sort of response you're getting from the cross-axis, you'd have to go and scroll down in the cross-axis channel and be around in here somewhere. But data slewing lets you align data from different coils to appear at the same time in your display. So how do you do it? Well, I'm only using a standard bobbin coil probe here with differential and absolute arrangement, so they're aligned already. They're only separated by about 30 thousandths if you want to, let's just say 30 thousandths. One of the pair of coils is used for the channel 2, 4, 6, and 8, and then the two together are for channel 1, 3, 5, and 7. But what you do is, this is CoreStar software, by the way. You just take your pointer and you go down in the expanded strip chart. This is left and right. No, that's up and down, and this is left and right. But there's a trick. You got to have a 3-button mouse when you're using a lot of data analysis software packages, because there's so many features. You know, you couldn't do them all with a touchpad or a 2-button mouse even. You got to have a 3-button mouse. And you got to use Control and Shift and Spacebar in conjunction with your different features on your mouse. So you just go here with your pointer. You're going to hold down the Shift. Now keep in mind, look at channel 5 up here. So what you'd want to do is put channel 5 in your strip chart, and then we'll put actually let me put 6 up here, and I'll put 5 over here. So this is what we're going to be adjusting our data to. So I got 6 in the strip chart right next to the listed view. Put your pointer here, hold down the Shift button, and now watch what happens when you drag with your middle button. See how you're aligning that data? So a cross-axis probe head might look something like this. Of course, the signals will be different because they're differential, but you notice how this data is offset from this now? If I go to channel 5, there's a signal right on my screen, but if I click over to channel 6, it's somewhere else. That's because I aligned the data to a different position. Now, the way the bobbin coil is, if that's all you have is the pair of coils, you would actually want to reset that to 0, but I'm going to manually reset it so you can see how that's done again. You do the shift middle button and you just drag it right about there. That looks like they're lined up pretty good, right? Now, how would you do data slewing with rotating coil data, and why would you want to do that? Well, like I said, if you have a single coil rotating coil, you don't need it. But if you're using a probe head like the Delta head from Z-Tech, that has 3 different coils mounted at the same axial position on the probe head, but separated by 120 degrees. So instead of slewing that data to an axial distance, you're going to slew it by a certain number of degrees. What you do is you'd put coil 1 over here, and then you'd go to coil 2 over here, which might be channel 5 or whatever. And because that's 1/3 of the way around the coil, you would put that channel up in here, and you do the shift middle, and you drag it so that lines up with channel 1. And then for your 3rd coil, which is 240 degrees away from your 1st coil, you would, whatever channel that is, you'd put that here. Let's just say it was 7, for example. And then you would take the data from the 3rd coil, and you would do the shift, drag. Oh, you got to be down here. Remember, you got to be in the expanded strip chart window. And what's going on here? 7, shift middle. I'm not sure where they're, oh, because I'm on differential on both of them, that's why. See now, because you can't slew something to itself, you can only slew a different coil. And this letting me do it because the absolute coil is only using one of the coil pairs. So that's how you do data slewing, at least in the CoreStar software. But every modern software package is going to have the feature slew. You just have to look in the operator's manual or ask a buddy that's used data slewing before. Chances are, if they do a lot of rotating coil or array data, they know how to use the data slew feature. And go get yourself a 3-button mouse. Thanks for watching the video.